If you ever thought I'm way too behind to start investing now, I need you to throw that lie in the garbage right now. Whether you're 25 or 55, there is still time to build wealth. The key, starting where you are and using what you have. Let's talk about it. Hey goalies, welcome back to the channel where we keep it real about all things money, confidence, and financial success. If this is your first time here, I'm Nia, the Coy's Confidant, and I'm all about helping you build confidence and clarity to crush your money goals. Now, the first thing I do need from you, if you can hit that like, subscribe, hit that button to let YouTube know that you want to hear what I'm talking about, and always feel free to drop down any thoughts you may be having in the comments. Now, so what? You're starting late. That's okay. Let's talk about the little voice inside your head that's telling you it's too late to invest or it's too complicated to figure out. That voice is lying. You are not behind, you are building forward. And the fact that you are watching this video is proof. I'm going to walk you step by step today exactly how to get started investing. Even if you're started in what feels like the late stage, because small steps matter. Even if it's $50 a month, trust me, it still counts. It's still important, okay? So here is how you can start investing today. So even if you've never invested before, I do want to stop and remind you that this is educational information. This is not investment advice. I am not a financial advisor, and I am just educating you on investing. And that's why we're here. Because the more educated you are, the more it will help with your fears. The first step is choosing where exactly you plan to invest your money. So you want to start with beginner-friendly platforms. So some of those beginner-friendly platforms will look like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or even Vanguard if you want something more traditional. Now, if you want something that's a little bit more automated, a little bit more ease, and I guess you could say more modern, you want to try apps like Acorn or Betterment. These will let you open a Roth IRA, a traditional IRA, or a brokerage account, and you can do it in minutes. But first, I do want to stop and talk about what those accounts mean. So I am going to make a video called Investing Terms that you may have heard that will break down all these different investing terms. But I've heard so much from my clients that they watch videos like this that use jargon, but don't break down what the jargon mean. So I'm going to stop and break down what these means. Now, an IRA is an individual retirement account. That means this is an individual account that you would be opening for yourself as an individual. But it's still a retirement account, so there are limits to when you can actually take the money out. But these apps that we just talked about and these options, they give you the ability to open up different types of accounts. So a Roth IRA means that you pay the taxes now, but when you're later in retirement and you want to draw down that money, you won't have to pay taxes then. If it is a traditional account, then you are going to not pay taxes now. You're going to defer those taxes. You're going to put them later, and then when you are in retirement and you withdraw that money, now you will pay the taxes on your withdrawals. Okay, so that's the big difference between traditional and Roth. And of course, I will break those terms down a little bit further in that video. Okay, so if you are watching this and you are like, okay, I still don't get it, I don't understand, then you probably want to go watch that video with the terms first and then come back to this video. Okay, they're here for you to watch as many times as you need to. So we're going to go on. So now step one was figuring out where exactly you plan to invest. Step two will be automating it. So you're creating a system, And so you're creating a system so it works without you having to manually make it work. And you're going to do that by setting it and forgetting it. Choose a small amount. This amount can be $50 a month. Automate it. That $50 is going to add up over time. So just to give you an example, let's just say you put away $50 a month for 20 years and you were earning 7% in return. Okay. That's going to equate to how much? $25,000. That's the power of you starting and being consistent. Because, see, a lot of us, we don't start because we feel like it has to be perfect or we feel like we have to be at a certain level. Let me tell you something that's way more than perfect, way better than perfect. Consistency. If you consistently show up for yourself, you will consistently achieve the goals that you set for yourself. So, step one was we choose where we will invest. Step two was we was creating a system for our investments. We set it, we picked out how much it's going to be, we automated those transfers into that account so that we can now start building wealth. We do have to make sure that you go and actually invest that money. Just setting up the transfer will not be enough. So step three is going to be picking the investments that match your goals and your comfort level. If you are someone who is looking to retire very soon, you might not be very comfortable with taking a lot of risk, which means you would be a much more conservative investor. But if you are somebody who 20, 30 years down the line is when you would actually start to touch that money, you can afford to take on a lot more risk. So this is the type of thing that you want to think about. Do you feel like if I invest, it's going to take all my money? If you feel that way, then this is something you might have to think about and start with a more conservative investment strategy as you learn and get more comfortable, get aggressive. You know, you don't want to invest the way that somebody else told you to, but you have no peace of mind because nobody wants that. Now, talking about different type of investments, we're going to talk about a few. So we have index funds and ETFs. Those two are great starting points. But again, I want to break them down. So index funds are similar to mutual funds, are similar to ETFs. So a mutual fund, let's just say, like the analogy I used in the first video of this playlist, think about it as you have a forest or a garden. Okay. A mutual fund is a carefully curated forest. I mean, you have somebody out there trimming the trees, making sure they're good, snipping off the dead branches to make sure it's not underperforming. They are keeping your trees in pristine condition. But one thing they will require is to get paid for their time. They're not just making your trees look good for the health. They're making your trees look good because that's what their profession and they want compensation for it. So the important part of that to take away is that means they will have fees. They will have high fees along with those mutual funds. Okay. The second one is index funds. In index funds, similar to the forest, you have different type of trees in there. It's a blend. It's not just one type of tree. It's a blend of trees in this forest. The difference is you don't have that curator out there trimming all your branches off. They're not out there checking the tree bark and pH levels. They're not doing any of that. So the fees are going to be a little bit lower because it's less managed. It's a little bit more passive. Okay. So it's still a variety, but you don't have that person just out there, with the chisel on the ice sculpture. Okay. That's what makes the fees a little bit lower, but it's still a great option because it still has a nice blend of funds. But again, you will have to research. Don't just pick the first funds you see. This is something you will have to research, which we'll have a video on that later in the playlist. Now, ETFs. Think of ETFs like the if you went into Home Depot and you bought all the trees in the group and you just took them home, they already ready, threw them in the ground, voila, you got your forest. Completely passive, absolutely nobody doing anything. It's automatically ready-made and you're just taking it and go. And what that means is very minimal fees. Okay, so now that we got an understanding of those, again, if you don't understand them, please make sure you go and watch the investing terms video so that you can get a better idea. Honestly, if you have investing terms you're not sure about, I think you should listen to the video anyway, but I'm just saying. Now, the two ones that we'll talk a little bit more in depth are the index funds and the ETFs. And ETFs is exchange traded funds. Now, these are great options because one, they're diversified, and two, they're lower cost, like we just talked about. Now, diversified is basically means you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. That means that just to say we take this forest, right? We have all these trees in this forest, and let's just say we only bought one tree. That's it. We just bought one tree in this corner. So if a tornado comes through and it knocks that tree and pulls it out the roots, all of our money is gone. Our whole investment is gone because we put all of our money in that one stock. Whereas if we put it into index funds or, mutual funds or ETFs, you're putting it amongst a group of different type of trees. So it's not just one type of tree, it's a group of them. And so each tree has different information about them, has different profits associated with them. That's the way it works. So if a tornado comes through, the chances of that tornado knocking down all your trees is very slight because you have diversified your risk. You diversified your risk by not putting everything on one tree. You blended it amongst a lot of different trees. So hopefully that analogy works for you. Definitely feel free to drop down in the comments if that helped you understand it a little bit better, or if you like, okay, I don't really know what you're talking about, sis. Just let me know. I want you to let me know because I want to make sure I'm bringing analogies that you'll be able to grasp the concepts, okay? But we're going to keep moving on. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next video also, just a little teaser. So next week, that video will be dropping, all right? So always remember, I'm going to use a tree analogy, a garden analogy, just so that you can continue to plant that seed and keep the ideologies and the methods behind it in your head. So this is important for you because it's going to help you start to understand the concepts of how these different things work, which is going to help kind of start to ease that fear around investing. So let's talk about retirement, because I know some of y'all are sweating about not having enough money, about not being able to retire confidently. And I still want you to know you can still invest in the 401k through your employer. Even if you have your IRA on the side, even if you have your brokerage account on the side, they don't have anything to do with each other. So you still have the ability, especially if your employer gives you a match, especially because that match is going to be them putting money into your account and you will grow interest on top of it from money that you didn't have to put in there. I mean, it sounds like a win. I'm just saying. So that's very important for you to look into and see what's going on with that plan. And then also another way to invest is if you are over the age of 50, you are allowed to make catch-up contributions. And those catch-up contributions allow you to help close the gap even faster with your retirement goals. Now, this is important because for all of these things, they have different limits and rules around them. So I encourage you to go to the IRS website, not a random website, not an opinion blog. You want to go to the IRS and you want to look up the income limits for Roth IRAs to make sure you are not overqualified to invest in a Roth IRA, which if you make more than the limit and you still want to invest in a Roth IRA, there are still options for you, but we're just not going to get into it in this video because this is like a beginner friendly video and I don't want to get too complex or complicated. So what I want you to do is just think about what the limits are as far as how much you can put in the IRA, how much you can put in a 401k, and how much you can use as catch-up contributions. They change these every year, so I don't want to give any numbers for this because it depends on what year you're watching this video. The IRS changes it every single year. They up the limit because the costs go up. So What I also want to tell you is do not ignore your retirement plan. Just because you started late, that does not mean to ignore it. You just start from wherever you are and understand that that's completely okay. You can't expect yourself to just come out the bat and be an expert. You have to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. You don't have to be perfect. And I know I say this a lot on this channel, but I say it because I want you all to understand we keep it real over here. Like, I'm just not just talk saying, oh, we keep it real about all things finance, money, and financial confidence, money, and financial success. That's also why I leave my bloopers or my hiccups in my videos, because I'm giving you the real. This is me, full in effect. And I think that it's important for you to see that, to understand that I don't have, everybody doesn't have a carefully curated, perfect, beautiful. I'm beautiful like this. This content and this information is still beautiful and sexy. You hear what I'm saying? Without the gorgeous bookshelf behind me, without the perfectly, So I want you to understand that those things are okay to be normal. Everything is not always polished. Okay? You just have to be consistent. That's it. And even if nobody around you has ever invested, that does not mean you can't be the first. Even if nobody around you has conversations about investing, get some people around you who do. This is your opportunity to take control and take the power over your financial journey. Okay? You are not behind. You're the cycle breaker, the foundation builder. And I want you to know that you got this. So if this video gave you any clarity, drop a fire emoji in the comments. Actually, drop a fire emoji. If you're ready to keep learning, you make sure you check out this full playlist. It is called Investing for Beginners, from Clueless to Confident. Okay? The link for it will be at the end of the video, as well as I'll put it down in the description box to make sure that you can see where it is. If you need personal support or you just want to talk through your next steps, you can always feel free to schedule a free consultation. That link will also be down in the description box. But until next time, I want you to keep showing up for yourself and crushing your money goals. I'm always rooting for you.